Hi everyone, my name is Bobby Didiasa, and I got some news for you. In case you haven't read any newspapers, didn't watch any news channels, or just didn't use the social media at all, Trump has become president. Now, Trump says he's a fighter for bringing power back to the people and establishing a wealthy and great America again. But we all know Trump's not the only one fighting for that cause. Since the economic breakdown in 2008, US politicians have been trying to raise people from poverty by establishing jobs and increasing their purchasing power, but it's just not an easy task. According to David Newmark from the University of California, politicians in the US have been discussing for the past 2 years whether raising the minimum wage is a solution to their problem. The reason for the length of this discussion is that there is conflicting evidence available whether a minimum wage raise will positively or negatively influence the employment rate. That's why I'm discussing the following question during this presentation. Should the US increase their minimum wage? Personally, I think they should not. When observing and analyzing the evidence that is available, I personally conclude that the evidence against a minimum wage increase is far more reliable and supported by data than evidence for a minimum wage increase. During this presentation, I will briefly discuss the main arguments for and against so you can make up your own conclusion. So what's the argument proponents of a minimum wage increase use? Basically, it all comes down to an increase in purchasing power. They state that when increasing a minimum wage, you can increase the purchasing power of lower skilled workers and poor families so they can rise from poverty. In addition, they can spend more money, which will boost the economy as a whole. However, this statement is not supported by any data, as most minimum wage earners are not poor people, but actually teenagers and secondary workers from wealthy families. The poorest families don't even have jobs, which is why minimum wage won't affect them, won't help them. The foremost argument against the minimum wage increase is that it will cause a decline in employment. According to most studies, an increase of minimum wage of 10% will cause a decline in jobs of 2%. So it will be a significant effect. And as I said before, most poor families won't be even affected by a minimum wage. So if politicians want to help poor people and lower skilled workers to rise from poverty, they should look for another solution than minimum wage.